Hi, I'm Danielle Matias at Caring Medical Florida, and I want to present to you a recent patient that I saw with shoulder pain. So this is a man in his mid-70s that came into our office with chronic shoulder pain, trying to avoid shoulder surgery. He had a gradual onset of his pain over about the last year and a half, no injury that he could think of or anything that he could note. He was a golfer, and his goals were to improve his range of motion, reduce pain, and to avoid a shoulder replacement. This is a motion x-ray at his initial intake that we did of his shoulder. So this is him actually just raising his shoulder above his head. Here's the ball and here's the socket. So in this view, you can see that the shoulder is arthritic, but as we watch, as he opens his, raises his shoulder up, you can see there's just no space there, okay? Like he's really worn it down, and I would call it bone on bone. And he's starting to get what's called cortical irregularity, where the bone, instead of being nice and smooth, is kind of jagged and muddled, and he's starting to get bone spurs with that too. This is another view that we did looking at how he's able to reach his arm behind him, almost like he's putting his hand in his back pocket, which was troublesome for him, but you can just see just kind of no space between that ball and that socket, and he's starting to get bone spurs all right in through here as his body has grown more bone along that joint. On his exam, his active range of motion was limited and painful. He was able to raise his arm to about 85 degrees. So you think about this as 90. He was able to go slightly less than that and only able to abduct, bring his arm out to the side to 70 degrees. Severe tenderness when I was poking on several structures, ligaments, and tendons along his shoulder. We did an ultrasound exam, as you would imagine, with someone that's got a pretty arthritic joint, diffuse rotator cuff tendinopathy, meaning that there was just degeneration, wear and tear throughout all of his rotator cuff tendons, and cortical irregularity, like I had mentioned on his x-ray, where his bone just wasn't nice and smooth anymore. Putting all of this together, this man is very clearly a shoulder replacement candidate, okay? Really, in order to help him gain more range of motion, remove bone spurs and so forth, that actually he would be a shoulder candidate in order to do all of that. When he came to us, he was trying to avoid that surgery, like I said, and one of his goals in terms of reducing pain and increasing function, we got to think about all the soft tissue around the joint too. When you get arthritis, it's not that you woke up one day and your body was like, hey, today's the day, here's your advanced shoulder arthritis, right? It's a slow growing process, and it all starts from soft tissue injuries, okay? So if we look at this graphic of the shoulder, all of these kind of, blue kind of striated structures there, those are all ligaments that connect our shoulder together, right? Ligaments connect bone to bone. And let's say somebody has a shoulder sprain, okay? Maybe they fell on it, maybe they have some overuse. Lots of reasons why you could get a ligament injury, but if you have it and it doesn't heal fully, then what happens is instead of having these nice tight ligaments that stabilize your joint, you have these kind of loose floppy rubber bands that allow those bones to move more than they should. Okay, it's called a micro instability, where, again, think about that ball and socket, where if there's just extra motion in that ball and socket day in, day out, over time, you are going to wear down your cartilage to the point where it's those bones rubbing against each other and the bone can start to change shape. So again, if these ligaments here are injured for whatever reason, then you're going to get that excess force in the joint that's going to lead to arthritis, which we know progressively gets worse and worse over time. In an effort to help try to reduce his pain, try to see if we can get a little bit more function in his shoulder, the patient and I did opt to do prolotherapy on his shoulder. So common prolotherapy targets are these ligaments that we just talked about, rotator cuff tendons inside the joint, and we look at the shoulder as a comprehensive unit, right? So we're not just saying, hey, there's arthritis in there, I'm just going to put solution in the joint and see what happens. We're looking at it like, hey, this joint has degenerated over time. We have to work to try to regenerate all the structures around it. So prolotherapy does involve a lot of shots around the area, again, treating it as a comprehensive unit. When this patient came back for his second appointment, he did remark that he was already experiencing reductions in pain. It wasn't fully gone, but it was starting to get better. Now, does that change him being a replacement candidate? No, that still stands. But if we can help him, reduce pain, still be able to golf, increase his function, that is beneficial too. Some key points from this patient's case. Dynamic imaging, meaning motion imaging, was helpful in this patient's case, both with x-ray and with ultrasound. Some limitations we have on this case is that PRP, prolotherapy, stem cells, none of it is going to remove bone spurs. Okay, they have to be surgically removed. And we're not going to change with PRP, prolo, or even stem cells, we're not going to change bony remodeling. That's when the bone starts to change shape because there's been so much force on it for so long. We can help to reduce pain in advanced arthritis. And I would say, this patient, again, we saw him on his second visit, and he was already experiencing some reductions in pain, which was wonderful. We may not restore this patient's range of motion, again, because we can't remove the bone spurs and we can't change the bony remodeling that is already set in. But prolotherapy, and PRP can be useful if surgery is not an option, or if a patient is adamant about not getting surgery.